Hey everyone, welcome to Belly Strong, where today we'll be talking about pain and exercise. If you haven't joined the community yet, hit the subscribe button once the video is finished and have a look at some of our other videos on a number of different topics associated with pregnancy. Now, it's pretty well known that pregnancy comes with some difficulties, some of which can be quite painful. And it's these painful musculoskeletal conditions that I'll be talking about today. And this includes things like low back pain, pelvic girdle pain, sacroiliac pain, round ligament pain, these sorts of conditions. I cannot count the number of times I've heard someone say, well, I told my doctor or my mom or my friend that I was having some round ligament pain or some pelvic pain, and they just told me that it's part of pregnancy and something that I'd have to deal with. And I take a bit of issue with this because yes, there are common conditions that pregnant women tend to suffer from, but it's not something that you just have to take sitting down because there are things that we can do to help with symptoms. And one of the biggest tools to help with these is movement. You may have heard about women who get things like pelvic pain, and it's so bad that by the end of pregnancy, they end up on crutches or in a wheelchair just because they can't walk due to pain. But it's not a foregone conclusion. It's not, as soon as you develop symptoms, that's it. There's nothing you can do. There will be some individual variation as different people's pain responds well to different things, but I just want to drive home the fact that although these conditions can be common, they don't have to be normal. For a lot of people, the automatic response to pain is to stop moving, avoid stressing the area at all, and protect it in order to avoid any additional pain. And to a certain extent, this is needed, especially in acute injuries, to help with tissue healing. Just to note that the pain I'm referring to is pain that comes from muscles and joints, particularly in relation to the conditions that I mentioned before. This isn't about pain which is more related to a medical cause, for example, cramps associated with bleeding, and you should always run any symptoms by your doctor or midwife, who can then refer you onwards if necessary. If the pain is caused by muscles and joints, and this is where a diagnosis can be helpful, and you do see a physio, often you'll be prescribed movement or strengthening to help with the condition. Our bodies are designed to move, and when we let pain completely stop us from moving, sometimes it just makes things worse because tissues now start getting tight, our muscles become weaker and more deconditioned, we lose some of our stability, and ultimately this can make the condition worse. Often the body responds well to the right kind of movement, generally starting off with some gentle movements if the pain is quite acute. For example, I've been suffering from pelvic girdle pain for the past 3 to 4 weeks, and I felt it when turning over in bed, when walking. It's been really stiff and painful, but I've still kept up with my workouts and stretches throughout. And although I will still feel a bit of pain during some exercises, and I might feel quite stiff after the workout, by the next day I'm already feeling a lot better and I'm moving with a lot less pain. So sometimes it's okay to exercise and move through pain, especially if it's low level. For example, if your pain is maybe a 2 or a 3 out of 10 on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no pain at all and 10 out of 10 being excruciating, you can still work out and move through that low level pain, and it's not necessarily going to make anything worse. Sometimes a better indication of whether you've done too much is how you feel 24 hours afterwards. So the next day, are you feeling better or are you feeling worse? If you're feeling a lot worse and everything's more painful, you'll know that you've probably done a bit too much. Now, something that I want to highlight is that pain doesn't necessarily mean you're doing extra damage. And this can be really powerful because when the brain realizes that, hey, I know it's a bit painful, but I'm not doing any extra damage to the tissues, I can move through it and still be okay, it can be a really powerful tool to help stop the brain being so sensitive to pain and get you through these conditions. Unfortunately, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, and there is some trial and error. You can have two women with the same symptoms, but both can have different underlying causes and require slightly different treatment approaches. And this is where it can be really helpful to see a physiotherapist for an accurate diagnosis and a targeted treatment program that addresses all of your individual underlying causes and factors. They can also provide a lot of guidance on how to work within your pain limits safely, and this way you know you're doing the right things for your condition. So although the answer to whether you should exercise through pain is not a straightforward yes or no, I hope I've given you some things to think about as you discover what works for your body and what doesn't. Subscribe to join our community of women who are enthusiastic about their fitness. Leave any questions, any comments, and give this video a like if it has been helpful. And I'll see you again soon on Belly Strong.